the two things that transformed my life and brought me to a place where I wake up in the morning excited to experience the life that I am creating, to actually create the life that I want to experience. Because I heard about that idea that you can create the life that you want a while ago, and it sounded amazing and exciting, but I had no idea how to get there. And I am at a place where I actually get to experience that, and I am super excited to share with you watching how I got here. Forgive me, this is the soundtrack of probably my videos while I am in San Francisco. First thing, I've been sharing in my most recent videos how following the things that excite me, the things that were exciting for me a year, 2 years ago, have been one of the most transformative things that I have done that brought me here. And the second one, it is working with my nervous system. I'm super excited to be talking about nervous system because there's way too many information out there. This space of self-development, spirituality, wellness, it is oversaturated, and I think one of my desires with my channel, with what I'm creating, with what I'm doing, is to break down all these concepts and make it a little easier for everyone to digest, to understand, to be able to discern what really works for you and what really interests you. Because I think if we talk about this space being an industry, obviously they have to sell things, and there's just way too many products, services that tell you how to, you know, understand your nervous system, work with your nervous system. But my feeling is that it makes nervous system, it makes it look so complicated, like something that almost like it's outside of you. You need to buy it from somewhere else, and it's in our bodies. We get to learn about it, work with it. God, it's San Francisco. It's our nervous system. It's built in our bodies. We get to not only tap into what it is, but it's in ourselves. We have that knowing, we have that wisdom. And I want to explain what it is. I want to explain where I was. I want to share what I get to experience today and how you get to experience something similar. And the easiest way for me to explain what nervous system is, I think we all recognize when we are tense, when our bodies is, you know, our neck and our shoulders, where it's just like we're carrying so much tension. I want to think that most people watching this video understands and are aware of when we are stressed out, that we are just like so wired, and you know, it's like our whole body contracts, and yeah, we all might experience different sensations in our bodies, but it's like, for me, it's especially my neck and my shoulders, they tense so much. So that's where we don't want to be. That's what we don't want to experience. So for everyone, it's going to be a little different, the opposite of that. How do you feel when you are not stressed out? That's it. That's our nervous system. Well, it can go deeper, but I think if you are not familiar, if you haven't been working with your nervous system, that's the most simple way how we can start getting familiar with our nervous system. What gets us into those wired states? What gets us so stressed out? And what are the things that it just makes us feel so light and so open and in love? We also recognize the feelings when we are in love, right? When we are in love with a partner, when we are in love with a pet, when we are in love with a sunset. That's an easy, and I also feel like most people have experienced the feeling of watching a beautiful landscape, even the sunset or the sunrise, with those beautiful colors in the sky, you know, maybe birds flying. It's just like you feel this peace and calmness in your body, You just want to stay there. You don't even think, you know, or maybe you want to take a photo because it's so beautiful what you feel, you know. Like I'm talking about a sunset, but for other people can be, you know, exotic flowers when you go on a hike, and maybe there's this part of the trail that you're like, oh my God, what is this? When you're walking barefoot and you have all this tingly sensation in your body, when you're drinking a warm tea that has this beautiful smell that reminds you something, when you're eating, you know, food can evoke all these feelings, music too. And I mean, these are the most simple the ways how we can always start experiencing those shifts in our nervous system. But of course, if you already have a practice, what about, you know, when you do exercise, when you, right, the bliss after a workout? This is like, that's, those are the things that we want to start taking note of. So that's it. That's our nervous system. The one thing that I want to share, and I think this is a lot of what this wellness self-development industry focuses on, is that, and I feel like it's just like so interesting, why make it so complicated? It changes. The things that make us feel good today, they might change, and maybe in a month or two or in a year our nervous system might need something different depending on what we are experiencing. So depending on, you know, we can say that our lives have different pockets of things, you know. We have our romantic relationship, we have we work, right? So we have that space in our life. We have our mental health or general health, well-being. We also might have, you know, some activities that we do to entertain ourselves, but we have different pockets. So depending on what's happening in those pockets, our nervous system start needing one thing or another. So the more we develop this close relationship with our nervous system, what feels good and what doesn't, we start understanding, you know, when something starts feeling good, what is it? What's the area in our lives that it's maybe needs an upgrade, maybe needs something different? I can share a little bit of the wonderful things that happened this year with my nervous system, how my nervous system has been guiding me into my next steps with the things that I have to do. By me sharing where I am, I'm hoping it brings you some inspiration. It shows you the possibilities that there are, and also gives you, you know, some information of, you know, if I did it this way, how you can do it, you know, especially when you have the full picture, the full package of where I was and where I am today. I am a fan of finding our own way of doing things. It is always really good to feel inspired by others, but nothing like doing it your own way. So I encourage you to listen to my story and to start seeing, oh, she did it that way, maybe I can do it that way. Something from what she experienced feels a little similar to, you know what I mean. So where I am today, I think I shared a little bit about this at the beginning of the video, but I wake up feeling excited to jump out of my bed, to grab my journal, and to connect with my vision, write down how I want to experience my day, how I want to feel, think, and act. I'm not gonna say that everything that I write down is exactly what I experience during the day. There are things that we cannot control. The more I do it, the more I have awareness through my day to remember, oh, this is how I want to feel. This is where I want to focus my mind. This is the things that I want to feel, the things that I want to think. This is how I want to act. Otherwise, we live in autopilot, right? So I got here thanks to being very connected to my nervous system. That's one of the, you know, wonderful things that we get to experience when we become best friends of our nervous system. I also feel like one of the major things for me is that I get to trust myself. Let's rewind a little bit. I know way better myself. I know what feels good, what doesn't feel good, way more. We are learning every single day. I am still discovering a lot of things of who I am. I'm not gonna say that I know myself, exactly. We're changing constantly, so we're always learning things about ourselves. But I do have a deeper connection with myself. I know what feels good and what doesn't feel good way better, as I said, than where I was when I started becoming familiar with my nervous system. So that allows me also to have this trust with myself. Nothing that I would change, like it's a feeling that I would love everyone to experience. I was at a place where I did not trust myself, and I didn't trust life as much as I can right now. So by me knowing how I want to feel, how I do not want to feel, and trusting in life and in myself, now I feel like I get to say no to things that don't feel good, and trust that even if it feels uncomfortable for a little bit, say no to that thing that apparently was, good. For me, I can trust that life is going to bring something that it is more aligned to that vision that I dictate, that I want to live and I want to experience and I want to create in the morning every single day of my life. And I understand, so much how things feel in my body, and that only comes from working with my nervous system, understanding what makes me so wired and what makes me relax, what conversations feel good, what conversations not only feel good in that moment, but what conversations make me go home and it still feel good. Because a lot of conversations, a lot of people can make you feel like, oh God, it feels so charming and so, like light. But then you go home and you're like, I feel so off. Like maybe the intention of what was happening there just didn't feel good to your nervous system, wasn't aligned to your authenticity. You get to learn so much about who you are, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. But that piece, it's been massive in my process, trusting in myself and trusting in life. I also, by developing this relationship with myself and my nervous system, obviously I love myself way deeper, way better, way more. Not only who I am and what I am creating, that is space of coming to my journal in the mornings to create the life that I want is precious. I get excited to buy the new, most beautiful special journal and pen that I'm going to use to write my pages, and it is, I select my mornings, the time in the morning where I want to do it, drinking my tea. It's just dates with myself. And I have just way more compassion with myself. It's just way more love with myself. So I have this practice of journaling in the morning, at night. In the morning, I am setting up the intentions. At night, I'm reviewing and celebrating, So it's also things that add to that relationship with our nervous system, So I celebrate the things that I did great, even if it wasn't perfect. I'm trying to forget about being a perfectionist because I used to be a very good perfectionist. And now there's that's what my day are filled with, just moments of gratitude and celebrating how close, like just even if it was a little bit, how closer I am to the person that I want to be, to live the life that I want to experience. So that love relationship with myself, with who I am, what I'm creating, and also what happens, that is very important and very special. Like there are a few things here in what I'm going to explain. So loving myself more today and what I'm creating is one thing, and being able to, so because I am in that love energy, I don't want to spend time not being in that feeling, in that energy. I know that it is impossible. I don't want to say impossible. Like I'm still a human. I'm still learning. There are moments of the day that I have negative thoughts, you know, that I judge and I do all these human things, right? But I know I have the awareness that the more time I spend in those behaviors and energy, it's time that I waste from being more the things that I want to be, that I want to create. So because I can see where I am today and where I was maybe a year or 2 years ago, I can see that I spend way more time now in this love, creation energy, creativity energy. I don't know how to describe it. Creation energy sounds fun. That when I look back to my past, to my stories, you know, the stories that I used to be very challenging for me to accept and to, you know, where I found all the trauma and all these things that we all probably at this point that have done a little bit of self-development. We all know those stories, you know, like, yeah, our biggest or most, how do you say that? Like, yeah, the most remarkable traumatic moments of your life. I can see my past with way more love. I can see people with, if I cannot see them with way more love, I can at least have more acceptance for them, for the past, for all the things that are uncomfortable. I don't want to say that I love everything. That would be bullshit. But I do accept way more things, which is, I mean, feels much better, to be honest. It feels better, and I can see how by me not having as much, when we are not in acceptance, what we have, where we are is in resistance. The opposite to acceptance is resistance, and resistance is exactly what we don't want when we are working with our nervous system. Resistance is this tension, you know. We want openness to every single thing that allows you. That's what I said. I want to share my story, but I want to invite you, to allow you to find your own version of doing things. Whatever it takes you to, that openness, to not resist, to not control, to let go, to accept, that's where we want to be. That's what creates a space. So that's another part. So love for where I am, love for my past, acceptance and all these things. And also I can see that I have way more space in my life because I'm not attached to these stories, you know, and how things need to be, and, you know, all the judgments. Like, I am more focused on what I'm creating. That creates a lot of, you know, like, because when we are having thoughts or feelings about the things that we are creating, usually those thoughts and feelings come from love, you know, from this energy of creation. And that's just like goodness. It just gets better and better. So that it just creates more space for inspiration, for connections, to see possibilities that before I didn't, because I was so wired, nervous system, tense, stressed out, thinking of the negative, all the bad scenarios that, you know, could happen. It's just like you don't see what can be possible when you are in that energy. So I think in this part of the video I gave you a little mix. Where I was, I think I was at a place where I was a perfectionist. I had the desire of creating a new business. I had this experience where my first business didn't go the way I wanted, and that created, you know, with my beliefs and my behaviors, being a perfectionist, I was in that space of wanting, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect idea, business idea. I was in a lot of resistance. I was in a lot of control of wanting life to go the way I wanted and needed, even though I was doing a lot of spiritual practices and all these things. So this is the fun part of the story that I wanted to share, and hopefully this is something that can inspire you to, if you are at a place maybe similar to where I was, with a lot of awareness. You know, I knew all my patterns, I knew all my behaviors. I was doing a lot of work on myself, but still I wasn't enjoying my life. I was still meditating, I was still doing all these things, but sometimes I will feel good with the meditation and that wouldn't last, you know. And I had this calling, you know, and I was, in a way, for months, I was resisting the calling. And the calling, the intuition hit, or, you know, we can name it in many different ways, was move to Miami. I was living in San Francisco. I am back in San Francisco. But at that moment, it was so loud. So, and I didn't know why. I just had a couple of dots that I would connect, and I was like, that makes sense. It's closer to my family. I have a lot of friends there. But it wasn't that clear of why I wanted to be there. After 5 days of being in Miami, well, I had another piece of information. I wasn't enjoying San Francisco. And the major reason that I could tell and share with people why I wasn't enjoying San Francisco, yes, there were many stories. But the major reason, the clarity I had about why I wasn't liking San Francisco, was because it was too cold, and that didn't feel good. And I was embarrassed to tell people I want to move out of San Francisco to Miami because of the weather. 5 days of being in Miami, in the warmth of Miami. And the first thing, before, you know, discovering why why I was moving to this new place, and, you know, finding out the bigger reason why I was there, the first thing that I could tell in the 5 first days I was there, I was like, oh my God, I'm just like so relaxed. Like, what's going on with my nervous system? So I started taking note from that moment, and now I am back in San Francisco. So there are like 6 months of my life that felt very different, very special. I could see the mark before and after. And the major thing that I experienced there was working with my nervous system. It was like a nervous system retreat. It was 6 months for me. It was Miami for me. What can be for you? What have been what is that calling you've been feeling and maybe you have been avoiding? It can be that for you. Or maybe you have another awareness that you already know what feels good in your body. Because if you see my example, my experience, kind of weird. Like, I didn't do it because of my nervous system. I was like, the cold weather doesn't feel good. I didn't understand about my nervous system back then. You know, now we can talk more clearly about these things. So for you, it can be like, right now, what is it, that thing, no matter how weird and strange it is, that you feel that can make you feel good and relaxed? And let me tell you, because that story of Miami, yes, it's very clear, you know, the heat for most people can relax us. But coming back to San Francisco, how I know that awareness and all that 6 months of nervous system retreat, what I started feeling was that, yes, it was the warmth that I needed, but I was feeling like that warmth now, this is when things start getting a little interesting. But I love these stories because it can give you different forms of approach it, you know? Things don't have to be one same way for everyone. So I started feeling that warmth could take another form. I was like, okay, the heat felt good, but Miami didn't feel good. It's almost like, yes, I still want the warmth, but I want the warmth in a different way. So I started feeling that relationships, that I wanted that warmth. Yes, warmth is the thing that regulates my nervous system. That's the first discovery I had in Miami, you know? Things that are warm just get me there. So I hope you're following this story. So in Miami, I wasn't only 80 degrees every day in the warm beach, sand, doing yoga and all the things that I love. I was also going to hot yoga. I was in the heat, 300%, in many different forms. So when I got here to San Francisco, right away, my body started having a shock, you know, like I was like, whoa. Like, there's a funny picture, maybe I will share the picture, maybe I won't. When I got out of the plane, my eyes, it felt almost like they were glass and they broke inside of my face, if that makes sense. They were so red from the cold wind. Crazy. So when I was in San Francisco, I was okay, I am gonna be here, you know, how can I make this work? How can I find that warmth? And I have some other videos that I talk about this too. So I started realizing that, yeah, it was the warmth in the connections, in what I was doing, you know. So it started with finding warmth in conversation, relationships with others, but it is evolved also to the warmth that I can create in myself. So I hope this is giving you ideas, and it's clear for you how we, once we understand what is that, those things, that core thing that take us to relax, to work with our nervous system, how we can start finding variations. So once I had that clarity, okay, it's the warmth that I can create inside of me. So now I'm like, my days are full of things that create that warmth, you know, like drinking my tea. Obviously, it's now way more special, you know, so I have special cups where I like to drink my warm drinks. You know, I have practices. I still go to yoga, hot yoga classes in San Francisco, but it's just like dates, you know, like I treat it as something very, very special. Not like, I like just doing things. No, it's my nervous system date kind of thing, you know. Like, take it very seriously. It's the moment of pleasure, of just relaxing and just coming back to my body, to my experience. Because I know that everything that I experience in those moments is reinforcing how I want to feel, how I want to experience life, right? So just in case the heat is also for you, the thing. So hot yoga classes, warm drinks, dancing, things that create heat inside of my body. Everything that creates heat inside of my body. Even cayenne pepper in my food, spicy food. So those are the variations, those are the things that I've been doing to work with the specifics of my nervous system. One other thing that is coming to my mind that I feel like is important, relevant to share in this video. So we now understand that yes, when we are stressed out, that's the sign that our nervous system is dysregulated, and when we are feeling relaxed, calmed, it's the sign that our nervous system is regulated, and that's where we want to be, right? We want to understand and explore how we can spend most of our time here, and what are the things that activate us to get here. So the one thing that I would like to share, and maybe this can be, you know, like another chapter for you to explore, because it's very unique and it's very specific for each of us, it's that we don't stress out about the same things. So our nervous system, we are born, we can say that babies stress out, but for the most part we don't really experience stress until we are older. So one interesting place for you to go, if you also want to become best friends of your nervous system, is to review a little bit of your story. You know, what are the things in your unique experience in life that have created more tension in your life? What are the environments? What are the personalities? What are the dynamics that just get you into that thing that is uncomfortable, you know, into those states that you're like, I cannot feel myself here. This is just not for me. This is just, no. It's a very good place to explore without judgment, with a lot of compassion. I think it's a very good place to go and review, as I said, with a lot of love and compassion, just to take note. Okay, controlling dynamics, that's not for me. Sure, now that's information that you can start, you know, if you are in that place of discovering what takes you from one state to another, then probably it's information that you can start, you know, bringing into your days, and you're like, ooh, this controlling people is, it's true that it starts, my body starts getting like, oh, or in the conversation with people that are very controlling, I'm like tensing my body and I cannot flow, right? And doing the same, you know, maybe those amazing memories from childhood where you were like so free and you were feeling yourself and you were shiny all the time, you know. I started bringing that information and seeing through your days what similar experiences you have that get you in that energy, in that vibration. I hope this is inspiring. I hope it's giving you some good information. I would love to hear your experience. Feel always free to share your experience, to ask any questions. If there's anything in this video that you would like me to dive deeper, always happy to go deeper and deeper. If you feel like this video can be helpful for a friend, family member, feel also free to share. And if you'd like to be notified when I post another video, feel free to follow. Until my next video, so much peace and love.